want to welcome you to another episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. This is sponsored by CVC Success Group, and there'll be three of us today from CVC. Brandy is under the weather today, so couldn't join us. We got a text from her this morning. She's feeling really bad. Hopefully, she's out there to listen to us, and maybe she can type in a comment during this. But the mission, the goal of this show every week is to share ideas, processes, new things that we come across that can help you in building your home service contracting business. And this week, we've got a really special guest. Last week, I went to the Freedom event sponsored by Tommy Mello, and it was all about how to become better in a home service business. And while there's an array of speakers, and one gentleman that went on the stage started talking about a new process that they had developed that I thought just had fantastic promise. And it's where we titled this, what would it be like to have a sales trainer, a sales coach on every single home service call that you run? So our guest today is a gentleman by the name of Sebastian Jimenez, and I hope I pronounced that right, Sebastian. And his company is Rilla Voice. So what Rilla Voice does, it actually runs an analysis. That's right, an analysis computer generated using artificial intelligence to gauge the effectiveness of your technician. Are they talking at the right speed? Are they following the processes? All the things that are involved in building a relationship with your customer, to build the trust with your customer. And the thing I really stress, which is to make you more believable to your customer. Are you talking too fast? Are you interrupting the customer? All these different things. And as I looked at this, I thought, this could be a sales coach, a sales trainer on every single job that they go to, because we stressed for years how the benefits of having ride along training done. But where this I think exceeds a human being is this computer analysis, which is a form of artificial intelligence, can greatly supersede and exceed what a sales coach can do. So, Sebastian, welcome to the show today. I appreciate you joining us. So
Thank you, Jerry.
I just gave a brief summary from what my understanding is. So why don't you go a little deeper and tell us what Rilla Voice is?
Yeah, Jerry, and thank you for that. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So awesome. And thank you for having me on here. Super excited. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sebastian. I'm the founder and CEO of Rilla Voice. Rilla Voice, very succinctly, we are the leading speech analytics software for the home improvement, home services industry. What that means is when technicians or comfort advisors or design consultants go out and talk to homeowners in the home, they will be recording their conversations through the Rilla Voice mobile app from their phones or tablets. And it's not a recording tool, it's an AI tool, like you talked about, Jerry, that will automatically transcribe, analyze, and give the technicians feedback on how to talk, what to say, so they can improve their sales and talk like the top performers in their team. Um, like you said, it's not only a tool that allows the technician to receive feedback, it's also a tool that allows the sales managers or service managers to do what we call virtual ride-alongs, to highly supersede their natural human capabilities, which I can talk about what that means in a little bit. But yeah, that's what Rilla does, specifically.
Fantastic. So are you the developer of this system, or is this something that came out of a company you work for? Tell us a little bit about how you developed this, Sebastian.
Yeah, I used to do stand-up comedy in college. I went to college in NYU in New York City. When you go to college in NYU, you're like literally looking for any excuse to skip class and try to be like a New York kind of like bohemian kind of lifestyle and just like do artsy stuff. And I started doing stand-up comedy. I got addicted through stand-up comedy to this day in the life of generating a lot of ideas, testing those ideas out with a crowd immediately, failing some of those ideas, a lot of them, iterating, and then making and crafting really, really good sets based on like the feedback that you got from the crowd. This is the addiction that kind of got me addicted to technology, because with technology products, you have to launch really quickly and get feedback from the market very quickly. So I launched my first tech company out of college. It was a field marketing management software that would help consumer companies like Heineken, like Red Bull, like Coca-Cola do field marketing campaigns, like when the kids put the uniform on and they hand out Red Bull to people. And my software was a very basic software to manage the field marketing campaigns. And I realized that a lot of the companies in the world who sell products and services, they have face-to-face conversations with customers that are not captured, that are not analyzed, that are not providing value to the business. They're just lost in the minds of their frontline marketing, service, or salespeople. And I realized that this was a big gap. I counted, and there was 10 billion face-to-face conversations happening in offline commerce across different industries, whether it's in marketing or sales or service, and none of them were being captured. 10 billion conversations compared to 80 billion Google searches every single month in America in offline commerce. And I thought, what if we could go out there and make offline commerce as searchable and easy to understand as Google did for the web, and empower businesses with the same amount of granularity and data on their customers as Google and Amazon have today. And so that was the original idea for Rilla. I am not the developer of the tool. I am the person who came up with the idea. I'm the person who did all the marketing, all the sales of the product. But I wouldn't have been able to start this company without my co-founders. One of them is Michael. Michael is my friend from high school. He used to work for the Department of Defense, developing signal processing algorithms to detect underwater objects with sonar for counter-submarine technology. And I called him when I had the idea for Rilla. And when I called him, he started laughing and he said, "This idea is great. I think we might be billionaires one day." So I took all my money and put it into Rilla, and that's how we started Rilla.
That's fantastic. Well, so you'll know, both Josh and Cheryl are much more knowledgeable than I am when it comes to, I'm going to call it the computer world, the digital world, whatever. So I know that they've got some interesting questions, and they haven't heard your presentation like I did on the stage with Tommy. But I will say this, Tommy Mello has made the statement that this system is going to make him millions of dollars in sales.
Yeah.
But he also said this, you have to work the system. It's going to take more than just plugging it in and saying, which is one of the problems so often with the software, people don't do the work. So Josh, let me go to you first this morning as the resident geek at CVC. What questions would you ask Sebastian about Rilla Voice?
So showroom setting, how would you record like someone walking around a showroom, let's just say an instance, furniture, of course, how would you record that interaction?
In a showroom, in a setting, you would use a tablet or a phone. If the sales associate at the showroom has a tablet or phone, they would just use their tablet or phone.
Okay, so they just kind of, I feel like Ricky Bobby, keep it up here so it gets up by your face, or hears pretty well.
You could just technology's gotten so good lately that a lot of our technicians who go into homes, they just like literally put their phone in their pocket and it picks it up pretty well. So the audio's, even if the audio's a little bit muffled, transcription has gotten so good that it's actually better than the human ear. So it'll actually transcribe everything perfectly. So you can actually read the transcription almost like subtitles if you can't hear the audio well from the pocket. You could just put it whatever is comfortable.
And even in a my showroom's not noisy, but in noisy settings it works pretty well too.
So that's one of the things that Michael, that's why I said we couldn't do this without Michael. So in order to capture face-to-face audio, one of the things that you have to do really well is be able to deal with noise, be able to separate speakers from the sound of their voice, be able to identify who is the salesperson, the service person versus the customer. These are all very complicated things because, as you can imagine, we're talking on an online call right now. I talk from my microphone, you talk from your microphone, Cheryl talks from her microphone, and it's multi-speaker, multi-channel. When you're face-to-face, it's multi-noise, single channel, because it's everything's coming into one microphone. So you have to be able to like clean it up just by looking at the audio wave itself using AI, which is very difficult, which is something that we got really good at. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So Cheryl, and like I said, Josh, you just brought an interesting thing, which is how you would use it in a showroom. But I know that this was introduced basically for the technician utilize in a home. And I think that's so super about this, because we can actually now review that conversation and have it graded by the artificial intelligence. So Cheryl, what about you? What kind of question comes to your mind in this discussion?
Well, I'm always the one that wants to know how hard it is. So what are the specific technical requirements or integrations when you're using your product?
So as long as you're using a field service management system and your company has one that's like, sophisticated enough that it can allow for integrations, it should be okay to use a product like Rilla Voice. If you don't have something like that, then it's going to be a little bit difficult to use it properly. Most of the challenge that comes from implementing a tool like Rilla is not in the technical implementation. I know that folks in the market have been used to like launching technologies and taking 6 months to 9 months to onboard and just like migrate their data and like set up the systems properly. Rilla actually takes about an hour and 45 minutes to set up of total time. So it's very, very quick because it's AI enabled. Imagine you literally give us a sales script or a service system and we could literally benchmark all the conversations against it, like just by you handing that to us. There's no setup required really. The biggest challenge of implementing a tool like Rilla doesn't come from the technical aspect, it comes from the human aspect of doing the change management to convince your technicians to record their conversations. That's where you see the most amount of friction. So it's kind of like very fast implementation, very high intensity at the first. It's like all of the pressure of change management is like kind of like pushed into like the first few weeks of launching Rilla because of this natural kind of like apprehension that people have against recording their conversations.
But it's not actually recording, it's just transcribing.
It is recording and it is transcribing. And then after that, it is analyzing the transcription and the audio. So you get you can dig into the audio and listen to the audio with Rilla as well.
Okay. So for like a technician, they would just leave the app on all day. Is that basically?
Depends on the type of technician, right? But mostly they just leave it on for the entire visit that they're in there. And then they move on to the next visit. But for the entire visit. Yep.
Interesting.
Okay, so what happens here is the technician's knocking on the door, ringing the doorbell. Is this the time to turn it on?
Yes.
Okay, so
turn it on as soon as you start. Yep.
Okay, and then we turn it off when we're after we have left the home. We're getting back in the truck. Now it's time to turn the app off.
That's right.
This computer analysis, what all does it tell us, Sebastian? What all do we get from this readout? And so you're aware, one of your new users just tuned in and is listening. So Lee, if you have anything to add to this, please type it in the chat bar because Sebastian, he just went live this morning with your system. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, man. Thank you for going live. Did you have a question for me or are we waiting for Lee to say something?
No, I'm going to know for you. What all does this?
Oh, yeah.
What does the computer analyze? What all is it going to tell me as the employer, as the manager about my technician?
Yeah. So we asked about the manager. So we have two things. We have the technician gets feedback and the manager gets feedback about what happened. So the first thing for the manager is, first thing you're going to look at is which parts of my process did the technician hit on this call or overall, right? So if you have a system that requires the technician to greet the customer, to build some rapport, to do some system specifications, to talk about recommending a replacement versus a repair, to talk about the good, better, best options, you literally will log into the conversation or aggregated data from all the conversations, and you will see which steps of my process is the technician actually following, how often. And you will literally have an automated scorecard. It's like an automated curbside pickup form that will tell you, look, the technician does the greeting, they do the building report part, but they forget about mentioning the replacement versus the repair. They don't really talk about the good, better, best option. And that's the first step. If they are doing a good job at following the process, you can dig in deeper and say, okay, you're following the good, better, best system replacement kind of guidelines. Are you spending enough time in that critical part of the conversation? And what the manager can see is like, look, the top performers in our team, they spend about 20 minutes talking about the good, better, best option, and you're only spending 3 minutes. So you need to spend a little bit more time on that part, or you need to talk about that part a little bit earlier in the conversation, or a little bit later, because you'll get the time that they spend on it and the timing as well of when they're mentioning the topic. So you can go really, really granular with the feedback that you're going. To your point, Jerry, if you had a human being doing this ride along in person, it would be almost impossible for the human being to capture all these data points that are really important about that single conversation to actually make a critical decision to improve, right? So,
yeah.
So that's just an example.
Yeah.
So basically, you usually your top performers are slower in the conversations. Is that right?
Yep. They keep they're slower because they keep their talk speed steady, Whereas the average reps or the low performers, they raise their talk speed whenever they start talking about price and they get nervous. So the talk speed goes from like 160 words per minute to like 200 words per minute whenever they start talking about pricing and like talking about cost. Top performers just keep themselves steady at the same talk speed.
So what this does, Sebastian, we'll say that we have a company and we had 5 technicians out here and they're all selling technicians. And we got one guy, he's knocking it out of the park. He's doing $2 million a year. And number 2 is sitting here at about $1 million a year. And then we got the others down at $750,000, $500,000, and even $250,000. So what this does, this enables the ones that are not producing to see exactly from the computer to why their sales are not coming up to what's there. You know, when I look at the superstars in this industry, that would be how we could do this analyzation. In fact, when I went through my John Maxwell certification, they actually did a computer analysis of the way John Maxwell spoke to a crowd and the way the tempo was, the way he would start it, how he would come up to what was called the learning point and the steps within that. So that's basically what we're doing here. Am I correct?
1000% correct. And that is literally the critical magic behind this product, is that the product doesn't work because the technology is great. It works because it's identifying what's already working for your top performers. That's all it's doing. And it's sharing it across the board so that everybody else can kind of raise their level. And what we typically see in the example that you gave, top performer who's closing $2 million and everybody else on average is closing $750,000. That's a $1.25 million gap. What typically happens with Rilla, that gap of $1.25 million between top performers and everybody else would go down by half in about a month or 3 of usage. So we're talking about, you know, like $625,000 of added revenue back into the business per average technician, which you do in your example, it's 4. It would be you 600,000 times 4 is like $2.4 million almost that you would be adding back in revenue to the business.
Okay, so it's not comparing you with other companies. It's comparing your people and your company in comparison. How do we build the C grade players up to A grade players?
1000%. That is completely correct. We do not share data across companies. Because the way we do things is that our companies who are our customers, they own their data. So the algorithms are constrained to recommend based on your existing team, and it doesn't go outside of it. So yes, it will learn from your top performers.
Gotcha. So Josh, what's the next question that comes up to your mind?
No, actually, he kind of answered it because we were talking about, I was watching some of his YouTube videos beforehand about how much you should be talking in order to close the sale. Because like if you're doing an inspection, you should be doing at least 50 to 60% of the talking. And if you're doing a sales presentation, 75, 80. But he kind of went into that. How, like with phones, so you can record all the phone, like what does that integration look like with my phones? Because we have virtual phones and they're already tied into Service Titan. So what does that kind of integration look like?
So like if you're doing a phone call?
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you're doing a phone call and it's already integrated to a cloud system, we could just integrate with Service Titan or with the phone system and just grab it directly from there and do the analysis from the phone call as well.
Okay.
Okay, to back that up, what software, CRMs, have you integrated with at this point? You just said Service Titan. Do you integrate with House Call Pro, Service Pal, Smart Service, other ones?
Yeah, so basically a lot of CRMs that we integrate with in the market. You mentioned a lot of them, but yes, we integrate with, it's like in the dozens at this point.
Wow.
Got you covered. Okay, Cheryl, what's your next question?
Okay, devil's advocate here. When you're on the phone system, you have to let people know you're being recorded. I'm assuming this is recording the customer just like it's recording the employee.
That's right.
Do you announce that they're being recorded? Because I know you said something about carrying it in your pocket. So sight unseen, don't know. That was kind of the question. How do you get over the Security and Privacy Acts?
Yeah, so great question, Cheryl. So in America, we have one-party consent states and two-party consent states. Most states in America are one-party consent states where you only need the consent of one party to the conversation to record. That's 40 states in America. And then there's 10 two-party consent states like California, Florida, Massachusetts, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Washington, Connecticut, New Hampshire. In those states, you have to absolutely let the homeowner know that you're going to be recording that conversation legally. In the ones that are one party, you don't have to, but we still recommend that you do that because it's very simple actually to be transparent with your customers in order to do this. And the way you do it is very simple. The first thing is you put a disclaimer on your website if the person's going to book online with something like Schedule Engine. You just like literally put the disclaimer online, says, hey, thank you for booking with us. Just so you know, our appointment is going to be recorded for quality and training purposes. Put that on the disclaimer on the booking. Second thing you do is you put it on the dispatch notice. You send a dispatch reminder to the homeowner and you say, hey, so-and-so's on the way to the appointment. Just so you know, we're going to be recording that appointment for quality and training purposes. The third thing you do is you put it on your call center. Thank you for calling us. All of our calls and in-person appointments are going to be recorded for quality and training purposes. And then you literally can have your technicians say it in person when they get there. It's like, hey, it's homeowner, just so you know, I'm going to be doing this and that. I'm going to be inspecting your unit. Just so you know, I'm going to be recording this conversation to make sure I don't miss anything. If that's okay with you. We have data from some of our customers in California that say that 98% plus of customers, literally homeowners, they do not care at all when the technician says, hey, we're going to be recording the conversation. In fact, I've actually been on some ride-along, Cheryl, where the technician says this, like, hey, we're going to be recording the meeting. And yeah, I'm going to talk about one funny thing that happened, but most of the things that I see is that homeowners just like, oh, okay, of course. It almost like adds to the layer of professionality that you want to kind of like, you want your brand to say that, you know, we care about the quality of our service. And for the homeowner, it's almost like this extra layer of like professionalism that they think that your brand has. It's like, oh, this is not some truck in a truck that's coming here. It's like a professional company. One time I was on a ride along and the rep said to the homeowner, hey, we're recording the conversation for quality and training purposes. The homeowner said, oh, I know, I'm recording you also. And the rep was like, yeah, no, I understand. We're recording the meeting for quality and training. And she's like, no, I understand you. I'm recording you on this end also. And he was like, oh, you're recording too. And it was like, to the point that most people are already having camera devices. They have the Ring cameras. They have Alexas. They're already kind of used to the fact that a lot of devices are out there recording conversations. So most people, they're okay with it.
Well, it's like I tell people, and I've taught service technicians, you got to understand in today's world, when you walk to a customer's door, if you walk up to my front door right now, you're on candid camera. Okay. These Ring doorbells and security cameras are all over the place. But you know, Sebastian, so about 5 to 6 years ago, we started promoting something we called virtual quality control, where we encouraged people to use screen recording devices that was recording both what was on the screen, showing on pictures, and also recording the audio conversation, which is a good system. But the thing was, now we have this computer capability that will now address this and give us a report. Now, we have a question from one of our listeners right now. His name's Chuck Roydhouse, and he works with some companies similar to what I do as a coach, as a consultant. And his question is, how long to see the transcript after the sales call? In other words, how long does it take to have access to this data?
So as long as the conversation gets uploaded to the cloud, because sometimes the technicians are in low data zones where it works offline. So, but if they're offline, it's just going to save it locally in the device. As long as it uploads, it's going to take about like 5 minutes to get. So like by the time the technician's in the car driving, it's going to send them a notification, hey, your conversation's ready. A lot of technicians are actually, they're using Rilla as a way to substitute the notes that they take on the CRM, because Rilla will actually generate an automated summary of the conversation and send it right into the dispatch notes for the job. So 5 minutes after the call.
Okay. And Chuck has another question. Can the tech sales rep see this in real time to record inspection findings, to write up reports or a quote?
So great question, Chuck. Right now, it's not real time. It's right after the fact. But we have a lot of technicians using it for that exact use case that you talked about. They literally talk about the inspection notes out loud. So they have it saved on the AI generated summary so that it goes right into the report right after. So yes.
And you know, as you listen to that, and I don't know if we heard Ishmael speak at convention, and Ishmael's process is they send a service technician in, he finds the issue, then a comfort advisor will then discuss it with the client. So the comfort advisor is going in. And with this system, the comfort advisor can hear the exact conversation, that just occurred.
Yes.
So he
Yes.
walks in prepared to make the presentation. Or
Yes.
it could be from an office where we're doing a follow-up with a sales manager, whatever, and we have the ability. We also have the ability for this, for the install crew, the repair crew, whichever it is, to actually hear the conversation that went on with the customer, which in my opinion, better prepares them to make that customer happy. Am I on track with this thinking?
Yes. Yes, that is exactly another use case that you can use with Rilla, is basically understand what happened in that meeting so you can better follow up.
Yeah, and Lee Rolfe just added repairs crews can hear
Yes.
what's
Yes.
been promised.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
Lee appreciate that, and he misspelled the word here, so he threw up the correct spelling there. So Lee, don't worry about that. The big thing is you got the right impression across. So
Yes,
Josh,
and that's a really important use case, by the way, because if you think about that aspect, what you're doing with allowing your repair technicians, your install techs to understand what's going on in your production team, you're basically allowing your team to lower the incident rates, to lower the callback rates, and actually provide a much better experience for the customer, which literally saves you points of margin back into the business because you're not having to deal with problems once they become too big.
yeah, and Chuck just added great, less mistakes. Everything gets included to meet expectations. Nice.
Yes.
So one of my key things is, Sebastian, I'm on waste track. Just finished the book about waste and where it takes from the profit. So to me, this is a system that could prevent waste from happening. So there's more than just grading the sales presentation.
Yes, it's
Okay.
it's not only about it's about sales and service, right? Making sure that your sales are up to speed and that everybody's following your sales process, but also making sure that your technicians are giving your customers the experience that you want to set for all of your customers and for your brand. You know, when you do that, you get less customers angry at you. You get more customers writing positive reviews, less issues that you have to like spend a ridiculous amount of hours fixing, or money, or social media problems. This is also for the service side as well.
Fantastic. So Josh, what else would you ask?
No, he just hit on some great points, because we all every business has that salesman who overpromises and underdelivers, and I can think of a few right now who I never said that,
Yeah.
but it's always the same guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got any more questions for Sebastian?
No, we hit on all mine.
Okay, good enough. Cheryl, what about you? You got any more questions?
Actually have two. I can do them both at the same time, or we can ring it around again.
Go ahead and hit them both.
Okay. The first one is I've been using AI, playing with, optional using. All the information doesn't get transferred over correctly. Is there a percentage? Do you have a percentage that may be an offset in yours? Does that make sense?
So like the accuracy of the transcription?
There you go.
Yeah, I got you, Cheryl.
I knew where I was going, just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah, we got there. I followed you. So accuracy of the transcription. So a lot of people are used to using the transcription on their phones, maybe their iPhones, and the transcription on their iPhones, it kind of sucks. It's kind of not that good, right? When you're trying to like literally text using the dictation, it just like sends some crap, and you're like, what the hell is that?
That's where the question comes from.
Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. And so, yeah, that's a great question. So that's actually an interesting technology development that's happened over the last year. Before September 2022, the state of the art of transcription technology was that what you are referring to, Cheryl. It was transcription that was 70 to 80% accurate. Which sounded, the tech companies made it sound like, oh my God, this transcription makes it 70 to 80% accurate, which for the techies were like, oh, that's amazing. But for human beings who are used to reading books and reading things that make sense, imagine reading a book where 3 out of 10 words are wrong. You're just like, this book sucks. The publisher should really like kind of like work on this, on the editing. And so like it literally, like to the eye, it's just like looks completely off if it's like 30% inaccurate. What happened last year was the same company that came out with Chat GPT, OpenAI, they came out with another transcription model that's called Whisper. Whisper is a transcription model that is 95 to 99% accurate. which
Wow.
is actually a higher accuracy level than the human being. That's what I was talking about. If you put the phone in your pocket, this will transcribe it with a higher accuracy than the human ear. It'll do better with accents. It'll do better with muffled audio. It'll do better with any kind of audio, because essentially it's built on the similar models that ChatGPT is built on. It's trying to predict what the next word is, essentially is what it's doing. And so it looks at not only the sound, but it looks at the context of the entire conversation. So it says like, oh, if I don't know exactly what they're saying here, I can fill in the gap based on the context of the conversation at this point. And it's like, it's insanely good to the point that technicians and service managers are relying more on the Rilla summaries of the conversations versus the notes that the technicians take, because the notes are less accurate than the summaries that we provide. So the transcription is so accurate. So,
Wow.
so right now we're dealing with again, if you had asked me this last year, Cheryl, I would have said, we're working on it 70%. It's like, it's like a gigantic shift in technology that happened once OpenAI released Whisper, because we're dealing with 95 to 99% accuracy in terms of transcription now. Most people don't have access to this on their phones, like Apple's not using Whisper. But if you want to test the accuracy of the transcription, literally go to Whisper AI, look up Whisper AI, go to the OpenAI website, and they have a little demo that you can test with different kinds of audio, and that'll show you the accuracy of the transcription that I'm talking about.
Okay. You said you had two things, Cheryl.
Well, I was going to kind of wrap the last one up with it, but this has come so far, it sounds like, and compared to the first time I tried it.
Yeah.
What future plans and growth do you see in Rilla? It sounds like it's pretty much at the top if it's hitting that kind of accuracy.
What kind of growth are we seeing with Rilla?
What's your futuristic look?
Oh my God. So Rilla, this last, we started selling January 2022. And the last year and a half, almost 2 years, we've become one of the fastest growing startups in the world. We've actually become one of the fastest growing startups in history. Like if you think of like the fastest growing startups that you can think of, we're growing, if not the same or if not faster than they are. And that's a testament to the big problem of doing ride-alongs and being able to be there for your customers every single call. So we're growing really, really fast. What I'm really excited about is just like all the developments that are coming with AI technology. Like, we have so for people who haven't heard about ChatGPT, I assume most people have. But ChatGPT, just like I'm talking about the transcription, was a tectonic shift in technology that happened in the last year. When people thought about AI before, they thought about like Google being able to analyze kind of like clicks and searches online. What we have with ChatGPT is for the first time, people are questioning what it means to be a human being, because ChatGPT is taking tests like the SATs and the GMATs and the MCATs, and it's scoring higher than 99% of human beings. It's writing poems faster, more accurately, and better than Shakespeare, which was the best human poet of all time. So it's like, if you look at the definition of the word Homo sapiens, it means thinking man. Because what separates us from animals is that we think. But now we can have this thing that's thinking faster and better and more efficiently than we do a task that we thought that we could only achieve, right? And so, which is really, really exciting, really scary at the same time. At Rilla, what we are obsessed about is how do we leverage this super powerful technology, this supercomputer, essentially, that's smarter than anybody. How do we leverage it to enhance the natural capabilities of human beings? And so what I'm really excited about is how do we use GPT-4 to allow the sales manager or the service manager to do their job 100 times, 1,000 times more efficiently? There's going to be a lot of AI technology that's going to replace human beings entirely. I have my friend Tyson runs a company called Avoca.ai, early stage startup. They're coming after home services. They are literally looking to replace the call center entirely. Like, so it's like an AI generated call center that's like answering your calls and scheduling your appointments, AI generated. There's like people are trying to automate dispatch. Rilla's in a different bank of AI technology. We're not looking to replace. We still need a sales manager. We still need a sales coach. We still need a service manager. We still need the technician on the field, but we want to naturally enhance their natural capabilities of human beings, right? Just like kind of like the iPhone did for everybody on planet Earth. We want to do the same thing. And so like I can tell you, Cheryl, like next year, we want to have, it's like literally a service manager goes into Rilla and they say, why are my numbers down this month? It's just like a chat interface. He's like, why are my numbers down? Like, well, the assistant says your numbers are down because the conversion rate for these particular individuals is down. by 30% this month, and it's down by 30% because they started facing a new competitor that had never shown up in the area. And here's some examples of the competitor showing up with a lower price for the replacement. And it does not even an analytics tool. It's an answers tool that gives you answers when you're looking for questions that are critical to your business. So that's kind of the future that I envision with Rilla in the near future, medium term future. But it's all using the power of AI to naturally enhance the capabilities of human beings.
Well, I think it is fantastic because for some reason people say I speak with somewhat of an accent from the southern part of the United States.
No.
I mean, so this is going to be able to work with different regional accents. Am
Yes.
I correct when I say
1,000%. It works even in different languages, by the way.
Okay, got you covered. So, last question for you from me. My understanding is, Sebastian, that you need at least a minimum of 5 people
Yes.
to derive the data. Can you go into details why you need 5 technicians on this? Because every company, as you know, does not have 5
Right.
technicians.
So what I would say is that the problem that Rilla solves is that it allows you to identify what your top performers are doing better than anybody else. So if you only have a one-man shop, Rilla's not going to be able to get. It's going to work. Don't get me wrong. It's going to transcribe the conversation. It's going to give you value, but it's not going to give you the core critical value of the product, which is identifying what's actually working for the top performers and sharing it with the rest of the team. So there's a kind of scale that you need to hit as a business in order to be able to maximize the impact of a tool like Rilla. And so what I recommend businesses that are not there yet, and we do this very honestly, like when people come and book demos with us and we don't think that they're ready for a product like this, we will not sell it. Like we do not want to sell something that we don't have 100% certainty that's going to work amazingly well and drive impact. So we recommend them, listen, start with basic transcription tools if you want to, because that's going to cover 80% of what you need right now. Just like a basic transcription tool that can summarize. There's a lot of them out there that are not as pricey as Rilla is, and we recommend them, right? There's transcription tools out there. When you need the analytics piece and when you need the intelligence piece, that's when you need that. That's usually when you hit that 5 technician kind of scale, and that's when you see our customers see 30 to 50% improvements in conversion rates, average tickets, and 5 technicians or more. But it's kind of like we don't know if we can drive those same results for people that are just like one single shop owners and
I understand completely. So, Josh, did any more questions come up in your head while you were sitting there?
No, I'm sitting here, wheels are spinning.
From your geeking mind, what's your thoughts on this?
It's especially you got new technicians, right? And they need coaching, to get their sales up. Every time they're not at their best, it's a lost opportunity for sales. So the faster you can get someone up and doing that and giving them that coaching and that constant feedback, because when I was running the service department, that was just too much for me to do.
Yeah,
there was no way I was going to sit there and listen to a 30-minute screen recording of their presentation. Hopefully it was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I just went through. the HVAC guy. Doing a sales presentation and selling me a new system. There was a good amount of BSing going on during that as I was working them down the price, and some, different negotiating tactics of, hey, let's go back to my shooting range. We'll shoot a little bit, and then we'll come back and talk. I don't have time to deal with all that.
Yeah.
And that's a really important point that Josh is bringing up. That's why when you hit a certain scale of 5 technicians, it actually becomes impossible to just have a simple recording tool, a simple transcription tool, because you literally, as a service manager, don't have time to even review like a 30-minute recording in your day, right? You have so many things that you're doing. You're playing catch. Your technicians are calling you every day. You're building reports. You're building numbers. You're having one-on-one meetings. You literally don't have time to go in. Most service managers don't even have time to do ride-alongs because it's so busy their day. And you're trying to keep the profitability every single day, so it's just not possible to do that. And so the value from a tool like Rilla comes because you have an assistant manager that's going out there giving you kind of like the report of what actually happened in that appointment. So we have a guy called Evan Diab from one of our customers, and we have a great case study with him where he goes listen, I never had time to go out and coach my reps. So they would kind of feel bad because when they were scrambling in their numbers, I couldn't help them because I have them so busy. Now I can be a coach and a manager at the same time. I can do my job. And the way Evan uses Rilla, it's not that he spends like hours reviewing recordings. In his one-on-one meetings, instead of playing detective work with his technicians or his comfort advisors as to what happened, he just goes to the report and be like, oh, what happened here is that you talked about price way too early in the conversation. You talked about price in 20 minutes in. So look at the top performer. The top performer talks about price an hour and 15 minutes. So try to raise your prices. Just wait an hour to talk about prices. Build rapport. Take a little bit more time. And they started doing that. And just by raising the time that they talked about prices, like doing it later, his team improved his conversion rate by 40% in a month, just because he was looking at that one single data point that was very easy for him to determine there was a problem with his team, So, yeah.
Fantastic. Cheryl, you got any more questions?
Yeah, he liked the last one. He's going to love this one. A lot of our technicians are working in multi-language communities. So if they're a Mexican going into a Mexican home, does this convert to English?
Great question, Cheryl. So this is a funny story. I talked about Whisper and how good it is. It's a transcription. It's kind of assuming based on context when it's transcribed, and it's really, really, really good. We had one of our customers in the Maryland area. He said, like, oh my God, Rilla's so cool. I love the translation feature. And we thought he meant like, oh, you mean the transcription feature? And he goes, no. Exactly what you just said, Cheryl. He's, Mexican American. He speaks Spanish and English. Some customers he speaks Spanish with. And he's like, no. The translation, when I speak Spanish, it translates it into English. And I showed that to my engineers. I was like, did you guys do this? And they go like, nope, we haven't pushed anything with translation. And I was like, well, he's saying, and then he showed me, he's literally talking Spanish and he's transcribing it in English. And I'm like, guys, somebody pushed a translation feature. And then we looked into it. My co-founder who deals with the AI, he went and looked at what's like, oh, that's just doing it on its own. it just learned with the context that most of the conversation that our customers are like in English. So it just like said, oh, let me just translate it for you so that you could just read it in English. It just does it automatically. Again, we didn't mean for that to happen. The AI is getting way too smart, but it literally does that. Okay. It's kind of crazy.
Okay, so Sebastian, I have posted your website. So if someone wants to know more information, my suggestion is that they set up a demo with your company. And can they do that by just going on to the website? Is there anything they need to do?
They go to rillavoice.com, click on the book a demo link or sign up link, and it'll take you to our form where you can put in your company, your name, your email, your phone number, and you can book a demo with one of our highly trained sales consultants who have been trained with the latest in AI technology. You can see how we did.
Got you covered. Well, brother, it has been excellent to have you on here today. This is some great information. This is what I call next level stuff. And that's last week when I was sitting at the Freedom event, I was sending notes to Brandy, Cheryl, and Josh. I gave me your website. I said, I'm hearing something here that I think is going to be fantastic. And that's why as soon as I got back, I wanted to get you on this broadcast so more people could know about this, could start looking into it. So I appreciate your time. Is there anything you'd like to add before we end today's broadcast, Sebastian?
One last thing. The thing I was speaking about at Home Service Freedom, which I think is very true every day that passes, is that AI is the most disruptive technology that we've ever faced as a human species. And for many different reasons that I'm not going to go into, it is coming after home services first. Home services is the early adopter industry for AI technology. This is why people like me exist. This is why people like Tyson exist with Avoca. This is why people like Buck AI exist. This is why Service Science like doing Dispatch Pro. AI is coming after home services first. Unlike other technology developments, home services will not be the laggards of this technology. The technology disruptors are coming after you guys first. So I would keep your ears close to the ground, see what your friends and your colleagues are doing, how they're testing with AI. Just play around with ChatGPT, get comfortable with it and get comfortable fast because the technology is improving at a rate that we've never seen before. So just keep your ears close to the ground so you can kind of be ahead of the curve when it comes to AI adoption. Not just with Rilla, but with anything else.
I got it, bro. Well, listen, I appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy. Okay, we both know that. You got you'll know, folks. He was getting really nervous because he just come in about a minute before we went live, and it's like, okay, I'm not sure how I can carry this off without him today. But I appreciate you joining us today, Sebastian.
Thank you, guys.
I think this is an excellent look into what the future holds for us, and it is a next level tool. So if this is something that interests you, go to rillavoice.com, set up a demo. I'm not going to discuss pricing on here. I hope you understand that. That's something that I think you got to go see the value, but I know the people have looked at it. We see that there is a definite quick return on this, but it's like Tommy said, you got to use the system. It's going to take more. You know, we hear this all the time, this software, this or that, but it always goes down that somebody didn't do the work to make it all work. Josh, would you agree with what I'm saying?
Seen it a bunch of times.
Seen it a bunch of times. So I hope this has been a time of value. If you're listening to us, if you're listening live, thanks for being here. Yeah, we have a whole lot more people listen to the replay that'll be out there, so we'll still be up. You can hear this, and we appreciate you joining as always. I'm Jerry Eisenhower from CVC Success Group, and we appreciate you joining us every week, and we'll see you next week on the next episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network.